for old-fashioned recipes and your gardening needs, while sipping on Kentucky bourbon. Sit right back in your big red hat, we're taking rural back from the urban. Listen to the stories where Kentucky is proud, share the giggles with all of your friends. You're all tuned in to Friends Creatine.
Hey, I'm Joyce and welcome to Friends Drift In. Guess what? We're not in the kitchen today. We're down in the Friends Drift In garden. It's the property that we've had in the family for over 5 generations here on Johns Creek. I want to talk to you a little bit about farm to table and heirloom vegetables. One of my favorite things to raise is what they call Trucker's Delight dent corn. Dent corn is what they use to make cornmeal. It grows 10 feet tall. The reason that I like to grow it is not just to make cornmeal and for dried corn, to do parching corn, but I also like it because it's a very sturdy stalk. And I like to grow what they call a Three Sisters program. Now, most of y'all know Three Sisters, you just don't know that they call it Three Sisters. Back when the Big Sandy was being settled and there were still Native Americans here, they called planting corn, beans, and cushaws together the Three Sisters program. The first sister, the eldest, the corn, was tall and proud. The beans was the second sister, and these are Kentucky wonders, and they spiral up on the tall sister for her support. And the third sister, the third part of the trio, is cushaws. And cushaws come and they help the weed control on the bottom. So the corn supports the beans. The beans fix nitrogen into the soil for the corn, and the cushaws keep the weeds out from under. And that's why we call it Three Sisters. Here in my garden, we grow a lot of summer squash. One of my favorite is the white patty pan. They call it a simmeling. It's shaped like a cymbal. Patty pan squash are saucer shape. Some people refer to them as simmelings. Simmeling is a word that comes from the word cymbal because it looks like a cymbal if you were doing like the drums. It takes about 50 days to mature. It's very popular in Southwest Virginia. Edna Lewis talks about it being one of the things that you can make everything out of. You can make pies, you can make cakes, you can fry it, and today we're going to put it on the grill. Here on Johns Creek, a lot of people call me the tomato girl. I put out over 20 varieties of tomatoes. All of them are heirloom, which means they're open pollinated. I'm particularly proud of my Bevins tomato, which is a Johns Creek native. But some of my favorites include the yellow pear, I'm getting old to bend. This is called the White Wonder. This particular tomato stays green. It will never get red. It is the perfect tomato if you like fried green tomatoes because it stays really firm and nice when you put it in the skillet. And perhaps the one that's most important to me, because I like a lot of tomato sauces, are the Romas. Romas are a pear tomato. We've had a lot of rain here, so you can see they're kind of muddy right now, but I'll wash them up for you. They're a pear-shaped tomato, and they make a great tomato sauce. You can slice these and dehydrate them. They're great on pizza. So I'm just amazed at tomato diversity. We've had a lot of rain here in eastern Kentucky, and it's been muddy, but that just gives me an occasion to put on my pointy-toed boots. We're blessed to have all this rain, as so many of the state is suffering. Today on the show, we've got guest Herbie Deskins. Herbie is a prominent attorney, and I refer to him as the highwayman. Let's do it. Hey, Here we are getting ready for a little bit of a meal out in the garden at Friends Drift Inn. I'm here with my good friend Herbie Deskins, the highwayman.
Highway, that's right, 1634, right through the center of Cedar Creek.
Anytime you're in Pikeville on 2nd Street and you see smoke, don't call the fire department. It's Herbie Deskins and he's grilling out back in his office.
Right, and it's in between two buildings, and a couple of times we've had people that have called the fire department when we're grilling, and they've come in all kind of gear.
We don't have enough to feed the fire department today, but Herbie's going to cook us up some turkey burgers.
Turkey burgers.
So tell me about it.
Well, these are 95.5 turkey burgers.
95.5, that means 95% lean,
That's
5%
right, really,
fat.
really good diet food.
Yes.
And what I'm going to use today are the tomatoes, purple onions, lettuce, and pickles.
Great.
With that, and we are going to have all the condiments that you have, and if it's, let's get going.
Do it.
Okay, let's do it.
So you started out, you were going to put some flavoring on the grill. Is that right, Herbie?
That's correct. To put rosemary, fresh rosemary on the grill.
Okay.
Just to give it a good flavor going in and get, and anything that's been there before, if you don't, sometimes there'll be an overtaste. You just get that rosemary just sort of cleans it up.
We talked about Native Americans and the Three Sisters gardening. When you think of rosemary, the Indians use rosemary as a cleansing herb. It helps get away the bad spirits. And today we've had a lot of rain, but it's good spirits now.
It is. It
So
certainly
Herbie's
is.
got us some turkey burgers. Are you going to put any kind of seasoning on
I
them,
sure
Herbie?
am. Just as soon as I get on here, we're going to have several kinds of seasoning. First of all, we'll use onion powder,
Okay.
and then we'll use some garlic powder,
Okay.
and then we'll use some smoked paprika.
Oh, smoked paprika.
Since this is not a charcoal grill, we'll use just a little bit of liquid smoke.
Right.
And
give it a little bit of that earthiness.
That's right, and then salt and pepper.
Now, when you think about buying turkey, you want to buy turkey like the day or two, maybe just 2 days at the most before that you actually put it on the grill. It doesn't have as long a shelf life as beef, but the results are well worth to do it right away. So it's one of those quick things, not a lot of effort to it.
Now we have a little pepper, fresh ground pepper.
Always use fresh ground pepper. It helps release the spices and the herbs, and it gives it such a great nose and aroma.
Then we have here sea salt, and lots of times I use kosher salt. But sea salt and kosher salt.
Sea salt is a little bit larger grain.
Like just wham. What is that guy that does that on TV? Wham. Emerald after wham. Yeah. And just a drop of this on each one of them.
All right.
And we'll be ready to turn them over here in just a few moments.
Now, are you going to do the corn as well?
Yes, we can put the corn over on this side over here. Right. This is fresh corn grown right here in Pike County.
Yes, we're all about going local.
And I bought it this morning at the farmer's market down
next to the extension office.
That's right. And this is it looks like peaches and cream.
Oh, pull it off of there. Let me see how it looks. Oh, y'all, look at that. See the silks and how fresh it is.
Right, it sure is. It's picked this morning. I think the fellow said he got up real early this morning and picked it.
Peaches and cream is a hybrid. It's a very sweet corn. It has a lot of sugar content. It's a shorter corn than what we started out with the dent corn, which is 10 foot. Peaches and cream, maybe about 5 or 6 foot, just over my head. The muskrats, they really like peaches and cream. And let me tell you, they've been in my garden this year.
Okay, now we're just about got
leave those on the husk. That keeps it moist.
That's right. Just leave it on. If you take it off, it's awful hard to do if you take it off. In fact, the husk that's soaked in water just for a while, and that sort of helps it too.
Crisps it up. Yes,
right.
sir. All right.
So we're
Gonna shut that grill down then.
Now I'm going to make sure that none of the burgers are sticking, and we'll put it down and get on with the program.
Alrighty.
Sometimes if you get, the only thing about 95.5 is that there's not much fat in it, and you got to really be
careful of it sticking.
Of it sticking to the grill.
Yep.
And we have a little bit of sticking here, but
we'll work through it.
We'll work through that, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, let's make sure we've got them turned properly. And we're ready to move on.
Well, come on over here, Herbie.
Okay.
A funny thing happened on the way to filming today. I started out with a layered salad. The layers included cornbread, and it had beautiful tomatoes from my garden. It had peppers. It had fresh corn and more cornbread. Well, I didn't intend for it to be mixed, but we got our wires crossed, and that's all good.
It was all the rain.
It was the rain. We've had hail. It's been an exciting film shoot,
yes,
for sure. When I was in Louisville a few weeks back, I met with Chef Edward Lee. Do you know Edward Lee?
I know the name.
He's from 610 Magnolia, and he is one of the hotshot chefs from Kentucky. He's been nominated for a James Beard Award. It was a highfalutin event, high heels, skirt, the whole 9 yards. And this is what they served us as an appetizer. And all it is cornbread salad. Y'all know how to make cornbread. You just mix it up, put it in your iron skillet and let it get a little bit browner than usual. Then you mix up the salad with your very own homemade ranch dressing. I'm going to put a little bit more ranch dressing on it. I've really never thought about making ranch dressing before, but you can do it at home and it's a lot cheaper. What it is a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of buttermilk, and I've added some fresh dill. When we talk about dill, smell it, Herbie.
Oh, it smells really great. It does. I'll put some of that on the grill too.
All right. Dill is what you use in dill pickles, and it is a perfect pairing for cucumbers. Cucumbers are included in this to give it a little bit of coolness. So I put a little bit of the dill in with the dressing, and also some celery seed and some pepper. This recipe will be available on my website. So Edward Lee, he dished this panzanella, is what he calls it, but cornbread salad for you and me. He dished this up on a fancy plate. And it's got a little bit of tomatoes in it, some cucumbers, fresh corn. He dished this up on this fancy plate, and he garnished it with some fresh basil. Basil is a perfect pairing for heirloom tomatoes.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to try this up right now, Herbie.
Well, it's great.
What do you think?
It's delicious.
I made this with the yellow cornmeal versus a white. The yellow is a little bit more gritty, and it gives it a little bit prettier color, but it's really fresh.
It is
with
great.
That garden.
And I can taste the corn, the fresh corn, and the fresh tomatoes.
And y'all know, whenever I'm out, I'm always thinking of something different to be drinking. It's out in the garden, and it is hot. What I've got is just some water, no big deal. And what I did was infuse some basil with some sugar and water, which they call simple syrup. Now, basil, you usually tear it rather than chop it, because if you tear it, then it goes black. And I've already strained this out. So I'm going to add just a little bit of the sugar to this water, because we need a little bit of energy.
Oh, we do.
Because we're old.
Well,
How old are you, Herbie?
I'm old enough to have 6 grandchildren.
Well, here's to grandchildren.
Right, good, right.
Tell me about your own experiences in the garden. You're well known for your gardening.
Well, I left the garden. I started when I was a very young boy helping my dad. And I think gardening is probably one of the most enjoyable hobbies that you can have.
I always say when I'm in the garden, I'm at peace.
That's right. You don't think of anything, and it's
No
just
phones.
great. And you see something growing in front of you. It's going to be good later on. There's nothing better than to have a garden.
I laughed. Matt Corbin, Chef Matt Corbin from the Blue Raven, Facebooked me the other day, and he had a picture of a cucumber, and he said, "Oh, I grew a cucumber," and he was so excited. So it's always good to see new gardeners come to it. It's a lot of work, but it is very, very rewarding.
It sure is, and it seems like if you get in the garden, you don't think of anything else.
You don't.
Except you just look at your garden and...
What's your favorite things to grow?
Tomatoes and
Tomatoes.
peppers.
What kind of peppers?
Hot peppers.
You like habaneros,
Habaneros,
you made
jalapenos.
some habanero sauce that you shared with us last fall. Tell us how you did that.
Well, I ground up the habaneros, and then
you have to wear gloves anytime that you're working with the hot pepper. You have to wear gloves, and when you're working with habaneros, I would wear a mask because it will take your it will take your breath.
And then some other vegetables, celery, and it's all to a consistency, and then put in some unfiltered vinegar.
Yes, about 5% acidity.
And then put in just a little bit of sugar, salt and pepper, and tomatoes, and that was it. It was good.
Let me tell you, folks, that will grow hair on your toes.
It
but
sure
it is good stuff.
But you know, that is a remedy for allergies.
I did not know that.
Sure, hot peppers. When you eat hot peppers, they stimulate your nasal system. Your nasal system, and it does the same thing sometimes as Mucinex. You know,
it's a whole lot cheaper than Mucinex.
It is, right. I better check on my burgers.
Well, let's do it.
Oh, they're coming along pretty good.
One of the great things about being so close to the garden is you have fresh tomatoes. You don't get any fresher than pulling them fresh from the vine here on Johns Creek. One of my favorites, these are plum tomatoes. And what makes them special is they're very meaty. There's not a lot of the seed sac in here. It's a very meaty tomato. It will really cook down and make a great sauce. On years when we don't have blight, and Pike County has a lot of tomato blight, on years when there is an abundance of tomatoes, one of my favorite things to make is tomato jam. And it's going to be great on Herbie's burgers today. Herbie, come over here and take a bite of these. Try it on over here, brother. Try this. This is tomato jam. I've never heard of tomato jam before.
Really good on the burger.
Oh, you know it. It's got a lot of brown sugar and that earthiness of the brown sugar, and you cook it down a long time. It gets very thick. I don't strain out the seeds. We're going to be talking about canning on the next episode of Friends Drift In. But tomato bourbon jam, this is a favorite recipe, been in the family quite a while. Was featured in Bourbon Review magazine with me as the author. So, pretty good. Now,
That
Herbie,
is really good. Now,
tell me about these. Can you chop this up for me?
Yes, I can. Now, do you want it sliced into 4 pieces, or do you want it sliced into okay, I can do it this
Well,
way.
however you want to do it, because you're the man.
Okay, well, the way I do it, I call them flying saucer.
That's exactly what my nephew calls them.
So I slice them that way, and then cut another one on the bottom,
Okay.
and then the top, cut that piece off, and then slice them right across and across. And now we've got 6
All right.
6 pieces.
When you talk about summer squash, we usually think about zucchini, and zucchini has a really high moisture content. Zucchini and yellow squash both are much higher in moisture. When you talk about a patty pan squash, or what we call flying saucers, very firm. You can even make a fake apple pie out of this particular kind of squash. Takes about 50 days to grow. You can plant them twice within a season here in Pike County. So fire these up, Herbie.
Okay, well, what my wife and I have done with these is that we've tried to go and limit our carbohydrates.
Okay.
So we use squash as our potatoes.
Absolutely, and it's high in B vitamins, so
and
it's
if you'll
good
just
for
think
you.
about it, you know, and think, well, I'm eating this big potato and you're eating squash, you're cutting down carbohydrates.
And not only that, but it's quicker to fix than
it sure
potatoes.
Is.
I mean,
sure
it's a quick fix, and it's cheap. You think of $1.50 for a pack of seeds, and you can eat squash until from May till October.
That's right, and all you need to do on the grill here is to put a little olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's how we eat them.
All right,
okay.
Well, let's go on and do that.
All righty. Our burgers are coming around pretty good, and we'll need the pepper, some more sea salt, and we're going to need some olive oil. I think it's right behind me here. And I'll put it on one side and then turn it back over in just a few minutes. But to be you can be liberal on the olive oil on this. Just make sure that you don't let it flare up on you like it's trying to do here. Just shut the grill down.
Here on the creek, a lot of people are reluctant to grow okra. They say it's slimy. And the reason that it's slimy is because that you've let it get too big. When you grow okra, it should be about the length of your finger. When you're canning okra to make pickles, which is one of my very, very favorite pickles, when you're canning them, you don't want to cut them. If you cut them, you will get a lot of mucilage. But what you want is a pickle. With a little bit of crunch and saltiness. They're a great garnish for hamburgers. They're a great garnish for Bloody Marys. They're a great garnish as a side dish to a meat tray and relish tray. Herbie, how are them burgers doing?
They're doing great.
Shall we bring them on?
We're going to bring them on, and I'm going to fix this one. Okay.
All right.
Let me see which end is up here, and we're ready to go as soon as I get my
Fork
there
work
we
for
go.
you?
The fork will work fine. Okay, now we got the burger.
All right.
And we're going to have some of that sauce that you had here.
Oh,
Let's put that on.
yes, this tomato jam.
All right. And then, of course, one thing I've learned about fixing burgers, you don't want to put anything that's really wet next to your bread.
Like I just did?
No, yes, like you just did. Put it on the burger.
All right.
Because your burger will get soggy, sort of.
All right.
Then the next thing you do is you see the next soggy thing is this great piece of tomato here.
Big heritage tomatoes.
Yes,
juicy.
heirloom. Yes, very juicy.
Juicy, juicy. What kind are those? Do you know?
That is it's a beefsteak, or it's one of the heirlooms.
Yep. Looks like a beefsteak. Beefsteak are very big and always almost like two hands to hold it.
And this is purple onion. I found that purple onions are a lot better on burgers than
I
just
think so
regular.
too. They have a lot of a little more bite and a little more crunch and just a little more interest
We
altogether.
have a few little pickles here.
Oh, we're going to put an okra pickle to
That's
the side.
right. Put that on the side there, because your pickles are much better than these. I've had them at the office before. And then,
Herbie has secret lunches at the office quite often.
Right. Then we have lettuce. And you'll notice the lettuce is going up against the bun, and it's not got very much moisture in it. So you're going to have a bun that's not got
A little bit more
moisture.
crisp.
That's right. That's right. And here we go.
Oh man, that looks good, Herbie.
Well, it is. It's going to be good. Has to be good if it comes from Johns Creek. There you go.
All right, let's take a bite of
Let's
this
take a
burger.
bite. Man. Mmm.
Do you see the juice running down your, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime tomato juice runs down your arm, you know you're eating good.
That is so good. We've fought the storm, the hail, the creek. This is good.
How about them vegetables, Herbie?
Okay. Now this corn's going to be a little bit warm, so we best see how it's sort of browned up on the grill. And you got to watch when you pull the husk back on this sucker, because it oh boy, look
Oh,
at
how
that.
beautiful!
Whoa, whoa!
How hot!
Sort of like taking hold of a big catfish.
And well, lucky that it didn't pop on you. It's so hot.
it doesn't.
So
Look,
pretty.
yeah, look at this. Isn't that? That's going to be so good. And
Think it's too hot to take a bite?
might, but this right here, let me cut this squash up in
All right.
this fine saucer, and let's take a bite of it. I think it's going to be
Now give me a bite.
there you go.
Firm.
Very good.
This could be like a meat substitute if you were trying to go on a vegetarian diet. Eggplant and patty pan squash would be two that you could use for a meat substitute very easily.
Well, as I say, it's, my wife and I sort of substitute this for potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get it that way, we sort of enjoy squash rather than potatoes.
I think that it's a great, gives you great diversity, and just, potatoes is old news. Squash is today. And heirloom
Right.
squash grown on Johns Creek.
Johns Creek, that's right. Well, I think maybe this is cooled down enough to sort of take a bite.
You think?
There you go. Ladies first.
I'm not very ladylike when I'm munching corn. Do you see
I
this?
know.
Can y'all catch the steam there? Can y'all see it? You see it?
Oh, good. It doesn't need anything.
Peaches and cream corn, turkey burgers on the grill
Squash.
by the highwayman.
Squash. It couldn't get any better than this.
What? Well, it could get just a little bit better.
Okay, tell me what.
Well, if I had my glass, I would. But we've spilled everything today.
I still got part of mine.
So as we say, as we wrap up Friends Drifting, Herbie, this is what we always say: share the giggle.
That's right.